Hello and welcome to Organic Creatorship. This is Aria King-Ray, and this is the space where we explore new paradigm leadership rooted in your original self, delivering your organic creations as a contribution while being fully resourced. So today we're going to look at exploring the impacts of stress and overwhelm on the creative process and the ability to be in our creatorship. When I say creatorship, it really is a whole host of things. And I'll go into a deeper level of explanation about that in future episodes. But really, it's allowing us to be in that space where we are our creator selves, where creation energy is always flowing within us and through us. It's moving us, propelling us forward in the direction of our highest and best good, and where we are working with life itself, and where all of life is working with us in the delivery, in the receiving of these creations. So as I am being in the space of the richness of creatorship, one of the things that's really present and highlighting itself is when stress and overwhelm are pervasive and getting into that which keeps us from being in the energy of organic creatorship or organic creations moving through us. So these things can keep us from being in our embodied leadership, in our creator space, and being in that truest expression or the truest version of ourselves in each moment. So as I sit with this, I really notice the experience of within and the experience of the environment. So the without, so around us. So as I sit with this, I really notice the experience of within and the experience of the environment. So highlighting those two different ways of us experiencing it, what we're experiencing within our own body, and then what we're experiencing in our environment. And the stress and the overwhelm both have this same quality to them. They both feel like there's not enough room for all that is, right? So if we're in stress or we're overwhelmed, then it can really feel like there's too much other stuff, too much that we're experiencing or feeling within our own system, or too much that we're experiencing in our environment. Both of those things can contribute. The thing that I find so interesting is that we can tend to this from both within our own selves first or within our environment first. So you get to decide which calls to you most in this moment. When we have too much stuff, too many things to do, too many things around our space, too many things on our calendars, in our emails, it can contribute to the feeling of too much within our own experience. And when we tend to feel stressed or overwhelmed within ourselves, then I notice that there's a lot of stuff within our space that may not actually be our own. And I mean that even within our own body. Other people's ideas, other people's thoughts, expectations, standards, needs, they can all be present in our bodies that we're holding that's not actually ours or true. And it can also point to the places within our own experience where we may have felt like not enough, which could create the environment within us then to take on other people's stuff. So if we're holding the energy of not enough, or the more not enough that we might feel, then we can tend to look outside of ourselves to see what it would take to be more, whether we're doing that consciously or unconsciously. And it just happens to then get misdirected and result in too much of the wrong things or too much of the things in our systems that are not actually true to who we are and what our unique expression or experiences of life are. So if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, I first invite you to see which feels like the best place to start within your own body or within your own internal experience or within your own space, in your home, in your calendar, your responsibilities. And from there you can choose one thing. What is one thing that you can release? What is one thing that you can let go of? What is one thing that you can delete? It can be more obvious if we're doing this in our physical space, although that doesn't mean it's easier. So if you're working with your inner space, we're going to switch to that. So if you take a look around and you decide there's one thing that I could let go of, there's one thing I could put in the recycle, or one thing that I could donate, or one thing I could move out of this space, that could be really helpful. And like I said, it's not necessarily easier, but it can also begin to bring forward the things within ourselves, within our own body, that keep us from letting that even be easy. So we're going to take a look at what happens when we're working within our inner experience, within our inner space, so that we can begin to create the shifts. And I want to invite you, as we begin to turn towards our inner experience, I want to invite you to start with just receiving this clearing. So just take a breath in, allow yourself to be fully present. You can either say this after I say it, or you can just say yes to receive it if it feels true for you. So, just letting yourself be fully present. I release and clear anything and everything that is not mine, that no longer serves, and that is not in alignment with my highest and best good. And just taking a breath in and exhaling that into everything that is not yours, that does not serve, allowing that to flow right out of your physical body. Sometimes if we start with our breath or our presence or meditation, it can actually amplify the feeling of overwhelm. Or if we begin with releasing the things that are not yours or that isn't for you, it can start to create some space for the breath and for that deeper presence. So after you've stated that clearing for yourself or you've received it, you might begin to then bring awareness to your body. Starting to just very gently notice, what does it feel like? What are the sensations that are present? You can notice your breath, notice the thoughts, and without trying to change anything, just beginning to notice what is running in the background and in your immediate awareness. We don't often make the time or take the time to create this space to just check in. So we don't need to change anything, definitely don't need to fix anything, but we can just start with being present with what is already here. And so often when we even just tune in, we can start to realize that just our presence alone will create shifts. And then I invite you to ask your body and your mind to invite back all of the parts of you, bringing all of the parts of you into the center of your center. And just stay with that for a bit, allowing all the parts of you to find their way back into the center of your center, noticing how you feel. Even if just one little part comes back in, you can notice how that feels more like you and what you feels like. Often what we're experiencing in the world can be tended to and supported by shifting what's going on inside our own inner experience. So this is one of the ways that we can be in our creator energy and shift our state, which is one of the things that I love to share about. When we're having an experience of ourselves or our experience of the world that we would like to have different, or we would like to be experiencing something better, we can tend to that. Our culture can encourage us to support us to go do more stuff, right? To change it or to whatever that might be. But we can also allow that inner reflection, that inner tending to create the shifts in our outer experience. So when we're having an experience, if we can look at what is the root of it and shift it at the root within our own selves, then we can shift the experience that we're having in the world. And it's a really beautiful way to be able to notice how we're experiencing the world and how we can shift it so quickly. So if you would like to receive guided experiences to support you to take this further, then I'll invite you to check out this 3-part video series and on the podcast to support you to begin to shift your experience with stress and overwhelm right now. So there will be 3 recordings, one on releasing and clearing other people's energies from your body and your mind, and another where we'll go deeper, where we are calling back that energy into the center of your center, like I mentioned here, as well as sealing energy leaks. So we will work with these in the next recordings, and I invite you to take a look to create some space, even if it's while you're driving or even if it's while you're doing other things. Just set the intention that you'll allow for this to happen for you in all ways that serve. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Aria Kingray with Organic Creatorship, and we will see you on the next recording. Thank you.